UnitedHealth Group is dropping again. Why it's happening? Let's analyze it together. Fundamental, technicals, and more. Also, we have forecasts for one or two analysts. What we have here from the stock, is like a huge 50% drop. We're talking about that it was trading with a market cap of 600 billion in November 2024. Right now, it has a market cap of 250, and it's a huge drop. We're talking about exactly the percentage, minus 55% since those last highs established back in November 2024. So it's a huge drop. Maybe not as huge as PayPal. I remember that PayPal had a minus 80% drop. But still, for a stock that is, in the health industry, it's huge. Yeah, it's huge, I gotta say. And it's uncommon. This stock, the last time we experienced something like this was in 2008. So maybe it's a good time to buy the stock right now. Maybe we have to wait a little bit. We're going to see the technical analysis later. But the fundamentals is going to be the first indicator we're going to see. And the first indicator, actually, we're going to see the latest news, of what's happening with this one. We're going to have like the reason right now it's trading lower. It's because of this high profile cyber attack they experienced recently. And the unexpected cost increases they announced recently as well in Medicare Advantage and legal and regulatory scrutiny and that abrupt CEO transition. So obviously, this is not positive when we have like a CEO transition, but still, for me, it's an overreaction because we have this news, okay? But then we go to net income, and the net income is a different story. We're talking about the latest quarter. They had a net income of 6.2, almost 6.3, I guess. So it's like the best earnings ever in the stock. Obviously these are the latest ones, but the worriness that is coming from, is from this 4.6 EPS that we have right here. And this is the worsening situation because we're talking about like a huge drop, and we have to go to the past in order to sense, where it should be trading. So if we go to the price action of when it was trading back in June 2020, $282 per share. At that time, they had a, let's see, for instance, the average, I would say, is 3.5, 3.7 of EPS. Yeah, almost, it doesn't reach the $4 per share in the EPS. And right now, the expectation is 4.6, which is above that number. So according to this, we had to go to see similar numbers at the time. I would say something around here. Yeah, we have similar data, similar fundamentals, and when it was trading in July 2024, at that time it was trading at $400. So a little bit of oversold in at this current level. But this is the markets, it's like investors, they overreact with the news, and they have like a really bad expectations about the stock of UnitedHealth Group. It happens, but then we have to assess the reality. And we have the earnings very soon, 4.6, remember? And we're going to study the forecast right here. And the forecast says, and this is very, very interesting, I gotta say, look at that. We can clearly see here's the drop. They're going to have like a huge impact in 2025. But after that, in the first quarter of 2026, it's going to be great. And actually, we go to the annual, and this is very interesting. They're going to experience the best results ever by 2028. So obviously, this is not a matter of whether I should buy the stock or not, but when to buy it, because obviously you buy it right here and maybe it's not the best moment because it's dropping and it's dropping like a knife, and it's better to wait when that when the knife reaches the ground, and when that happens is when you buy it. So first of all, you gotta be patient. You have to wait for the moment. We have 22 analysts from Wall Street that think the stock should go up more than 60% for current levels, but still, this is for long term. Right now for the short term, maybe it's gonna continue to drop. And the revenue, look at that, it's gonna be steady, and this is positive, and the annual is gonna continue to grow. So as I said, for the short term, we're gonna experience a correction in the net income. There's gonna be an impact, and that's for real, but maybe it's not gonna be that huge. So first of all, when we have the earnings, there are two possible scenarios. You can buy it right before the earnings because we have right here the drop, and you can clearly see it. If you buy right here, for instance, and the earnings are better than the reality, than the expectations, I'm sorry. So for instance, imagine that we have like a standardized earnings of 5, it's gonna go up. Definitely, so probably this is like a good opportunity to buy if you think they're gonna have better results than the estimate. If you think they're gonna have like a worse results than the estimate, probably the trend is gonna continue to go down at least to 250. But I don't think it's gonna happen. But this is my opinion, based on the fundamentals. Look at that. We have also every quarter green surprise factor except for the last one. And the last one wasn't, a huge deviation from reality. So it's not a huge impact, but still, it dropped like very fast because of the future, but not because of the present. So we had to be patient and wait for the moment. Right now, if we go if we want to find the best entry, maybe it's not the best moment to buy it right here, but imagine that the earnings are bad. It's going to continue to go down. So first of all, we had to draw a line at just a resistance level of the latest downturn we are experiencing, similar to what happened here. We had to be very cautious with this one because we could lose a lot of profits right here. Look at that. We have the resistance level right here. It's reaching the area, and then it got rejected again and again. And look at that. Completely horrible downtrend. It's a huge drop, actually, a minus 36% drop. So we gotta be cautious with this one because you don't wanna, buy the stock at the worst moment, And here we had the earnings, and when the earnings were released, a negative surprise factor, along with a huge investor, a lot of doubts by investors, and they realized maybe it's not the best time to invest in this one because of the volatility and the news that we were experiencing. And at that time, the drop was huge, like a minus 30%. It's a huge problem for investors, So we had to follow the same strategy. We had to just be patient and find the next entry, because right here, it was a good entry, actually. Those who bought the stock right here, in terms of risk, it was better because you could get like a huge dividend. And if they recover the earnings, obviously it was the best moment to buy it. It's very difficult, I know, to buy right here because it's like, okay, it's gonna die. But maybe it's also the best moment to do it. And it happens very often. If we go to crisis 2008, March 2020, and those who bought stocks at that time, especially stocks that they were experiencing like a bad earnings for the short term because of that particular crisis, but for the long term, they were going to recover. You buy it right here at that point, and you get incredible profits. And when I say incredible, I say more than 4,000% of percentage in some cases. So it's a huge profit. But we had to nail the entry, hold the stock, as long as much as you can, as long as the earnings continue to go better, to improve. And this is when you get the best profits. But you gotta be patient. You buy right here, and maybe it's not the best entry, and you experience a drop. And then in order to recover, you have to wait a little bit. So for instance, imagine that it drops 13%. In order to go to the previous level, it has to go up, that number, 15%. So that we had to be patient with that. So we continue to follow this trend, and probably it's going to continue to drop a little bit, If we see a breakout right here, and this is when you buy the stock, at least a small percentage of a position, you buy right here, and maybe you get like a 16% for the short term. See, if for instance, if you buy right here and it does something like this, I'm gonna actually draw with a pencil. So for instance, we see a breakout right here, and it was a false breakout, and it continues to drop again. Nothing happens. It's like, okay, you buy it, you are not a fortune teller, you don't know exactly what's going to happen because there is an earnings very soon, and you don't know exactly the number. If we have bad earnings and it continues to drop after the breakout, you can find a better entry next time. That's why normally, when I buy a stock, I don't buy like a huge position, just only one. I just buy 3 positions, 3 different positions. So for instance, the first entry would be this one. If I fail, I buy it at the next entry. I find like a better entry in the next one. For instance, here, if we have there is a theory, the breakout, and the second one, if there is a breakout and it goes back, to retest the downturn of that resistance level, there is another entry that will be this one, 260. It continues to drop, that will be a different story. We had to wait, and then we would go to the MACD and RSI. We will find, the worst possible oversold territory. That's why I don't believe we're going to experience that, because we are already in oversold territory in the RSI, in the MACD, in the weekly chart, and it's very uncommon. And still, if you think you believe the stock is going to continue to drop, we go to the monthly chart. And to the monthly chart, we are we are reaching the extreme territory right here. As I said, 2008 levels, very extreme levels. And the entry was right here. And look at that, that's why I gotta tell you, you gotta be patient, because you buy it right here at this very extreme level. And we are very close to that level currently in terms of oversold territory. You buy it right here, look at the percentage, We're talking about more than 2,000 or nearly 3,000% in just a couple of decades. So not 2 decades, but 15 years, and it's huge. The performance is absolutely huge. So what do you think about this one? Do you think it's a good one for the long term? Do you think it's a trap? Do you think the stock is going to enter into bankruptcy? Leave your comments below about this one, and also remember to subscribe to Turner to watch more content like this. Thank you very much for this video. Leave your opinions below in the description.